Okay, so good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this MTD as easy as 1, 2, 3 webinar presented by ClearBooks in collaboration with HMRC. On the call today, we have three presenters. There's myself, Chris Morford. I head up the sales and account management team here at ClearBooks. So my team is responsible for showing you around ClearBooks, introducing you to it, but also supporting our hundreds of accounting partners across the UK. With me, I also have David Carr, who is the CFO and head of products at ClearBooks. He's very much spearheading the MTD project here at ClearBooks. He's a chartered accountant, has experience in both practice and industry, and also has lots of experience in the software industry and the software choices arena. And then finally, we also have Werner, who's joining us from HMRC. Werner is the external customer lead and has a primary focus on MTD at the moment and works in the HMRC team for that. So thank you very much, Werner, for joining us today.
Okay, no problem. Thank you for asking me. Can you just check that you can hear me okay?
We certainly can, yes.
Can you hear me? Brilliant. Okay, that's excellent. So my name is Werner and I work for HMRC on the Customer Readiness and External Stakeholder team, and I'm actually based in Liverpool. And apologies, but I've got a bit of a cold today, so if you hear me sniffing, I apologise. So let's run through what I'm going to talk about in my section of this webinar. So I'm going to try and help you prepare for the start of Making Tax Digital for that next April. I'll give you the latest information on MTD for that. And hopefully at the end of today's session, I'll answer as many of your questions as I can. If you move on to the next screen for me. So thank you. So let's start at looking at what will be changing April 2019 for VAT. And let's see if I can't dispel some of the myths surrounding Making Tax Digital. So when HMRC talk about Making Tax Digital for business, what we mean is that the business will need to use Making Tax Digital compatible software to capture their business transactions, prepare their VAT return, and also send and receive information to and from HMRC via API-enabled software. So just to be clear on what an API, or Application Programming Interface, is, it's the means by which a software application talks to a separate operating system. So to be clear, for our purposes, it's a thing that allows HMRC's back-end systems to exchange data with the taxpayers or the agent's software. So to be clear, to comply with Making Tax Digital for business, from next April, businesses must submit their VAT returns via an API and not through the VAT portal. And if you go on to the next slide for me. It's also important to note that many things won't change, including the information that businesses send to us. It will still be the same information that HMRC need for the 9-box VAT return. We just want the 9-box totals. Also, the VAT return frequency won't change and the payment deadlines aren't changing. So if you're on monthly returns, you still submit monthly returns. If you're on quarterly returns, they're still quarterly returns, and your payment deadlines won't change. Nor if you're eligible for any special schemes such as a flat rate scheme, that won't be changing either. So if you go onto the next screen for me. So who is affected and when? Well, this information can be found, and I will be referring to this notice a lot, and hopefully you've seen it. It's the Making Tax Digital for VAT notice. It's notice 700/22. And you can find this by searching online or via gov.uk. Section 2 of this notice explains who has to follow the MTD rules and when the rules start. So the first thing to consider is a turnover test. So from April 2019, VAT registered businesses with a taxable turnover above the VAT threshold must follow the MTD rules. So to be clear, it's only mandatory if businesses are VAT registered and their turnover is over the VAT registration threshold, which is currently 85,000. And I do get a lot of questions about this test. So to expand further, if your business is voluntarily registered for VAT and your taxable turnover never exceeds the VAT registration threshold, you're not required to follow the Making Tax Digital rules. Of course, there's nothing to stop any VAT registered business from using the MTD service. They just need to sign up to use it. So for those coming in from April 2019, because their turnover is over 85,000, then they are mandated to follow the MTD rules from the first VAT accounting period that starts on or after April 2019. So to make that a little bit more clearer, if you're on quarterly returns and your return goes from March, April, May 2019, you don't need to submit via Making Tax Digital until your return that starts the 1st of June 2019. So once a business is required to follow the Making Tax Digital rules, they must continue to apply them even if their business subsequently falls below the VAT threshold. So basically, once you're in the Making Tax Digital Club, you need to stay in it. That is, unless you join voluntarily, in which case you can join, decide it's not for you, and then you can leave again. I'm often asked about potential exemptions for Making Tax Digital and when and how to apply for exemptions. There will be more information on this point published on gov.uk around the end of November this year. And this will include information about who might qualify and outline the application process. And each case will be considered on a case-by-case basis. Anyone who's already exempt from online filing for VAT will qualify automatically for exemptions from Making Tax Digital. However, aside from that, HMRC are not expecting a large increase in the number of exempt businesses. However, guidance will hopefully make it clearer what kind of applications will be successful. So if you could go on to the next screen for me, please. So common questions that I get asked. So I'm often asked, does Making Tax Digital compatible software include spreadsheets? And hopefully you'll be happy to know that yes, a business or their agent can choose to keep digital records using spreadsheets. But if the only software that the business uses is a spreadsheet, then it must be able to meet all Making Tax Digital requirements. That means that not only must it be able to keep all the required digital records, it must be able to send and receive information to and from HMRC via an API. So either the spreadsheet itself must be API enabled, or more than likely a business will need to buy a piece of bridging software to make their spreadsheet Making Tax Digital compatible. Also, a business may use a spreadsheet to collate information from one or more pieces of software. If this is the case, then there must be what is called a digital link between the software and the spreadsheet. So to expand a little bit on what is bridging software. Well, bridging software is a digital tool which connects accounting software and includes the Making Tax Digital APIs. So if you hear the term APIs, that's also a piece of bridging software. So in the case of a business using a spreadsheet, the bridging software or API will connect the spreadsheet to HMRC systems, enabling the business to send and receive that information to and from HMRC. You can see a definition of bridging software in para 3.2.3 of the VAT notice for Making Tax Digital. So what is a digital link? Well, a digital link is the electronic or digital transfer of data between software programs. Each piece of software must be digitally linked to other pieces of software to create a digital journey. And again, the definition of this can be found in the VAT notice at section 3. I also get asked about, and you may have heard about, the soft landing period. So what is that? Well, HMRC have agreed that businesses may have an extra year to arrange to have digital links between their existing products. It's important to note that the soft landing period only applies to digital links. Businesses must have their digital record keeping in place and an API-enabled product ready to use and to send in their VAT returns once they are mandated to do so. And this again is covered in para 3.2.1.1 of the VAT notice. You can go on to the next screen for me. Which is records that must be kept digitally. So again, section 3.3 of the VAT notice for Making Tax Digital explains which records should be kept digitally for Making Tax Digital. Records that aren't detailed in the notice or that are not required to complete your VAT return don't need to be kept in Making Tax Digital software. So when you do start to use the software for Making Tax Digital, you should make sure that you record the following information. So for each supply or sale that you make, you must record the time of supply, so the tax point, the net value of the supply, excluding the VAT, and the rate of VAT charge. Also, you need to give details of any scheme that you're using. So if you're using any retail schemes or the flat rate schemes, you need to record that too. But here's an important point that people do get confused about. Where there is more than one supply on an invoice, and those supplies are within the same VAT period and charged at the same rate of VAT, you simply record them as a single entry. You don't need to record them on a line-by-line basis. There is more information examples of how to treat different types of supplies, including mixed rate supplies and supplies made by third-party agents in section 3.3 of the VAT notice. So that's sales covered. So for each supply or purchase your business received, you must record for making tax digital purposes the time of supply, again the tax point, which is typically the date on the invoice, if you're on cash accounting, when the business pays for the supply, the net value of the supply, and the total amount of input tax to be claimed. Now here's another important point. When you don't know how much input tax will be claimed, for example, if it will be subject to a partial exemption calculation, you have a choice of what to record. You can record the total amount of the input tax shown on the invoice, you can record no VAT at all, or you can record an estimate of the VAT that you're going to recover. And then you will need to do a calculation to decide what's the correct amount to reclaim. And I'll explain a little bit more about how these adjustments can be made in the next slide. Again, on your purchase invoice, if there's more than one supply on your purchase invoice, you just record the totals from the invoice. And there is more information about this, along with examples and information about other types of supply in section 3 of the VAT notice. But remember that as of now, businesses need to keep evidence to deduct the input tax, much as you do now. So the next slide is about making adjustments. So where you have to adjust your input tax claimed or output tax that you owe, according to the VAT notice, you must record this adjustment in functional compatible software. However, it's only the total for each type of adjustment that needs to be kept in the software, not the details of the calculations underlying them. So to make that a bit clearer, if your adjustment requires a calculation, the actual calculation does not have to be made in the software. The calculation can be completed outside of your software, and digital links are not required for any of the information used in the calculation. So you can just type your total back into your accounting software. And there is more information on correcting errors within the VAT notice, and section 7 of the notice actually has a diagram showing how this might work. So if you go on to the next screen for me, please. So I'm often asked for more information about software providers and making tax digital products. And really until recently, I've not been able to share much information about who HMRC have been working with or the products that they might provide. My advice has normally been to speak to your existing software provider to find out when their product will be ready. And I'm still advising businesses and agents to do that. But however, there is more information about software providers now that can be found on gov.uk. So if you get to this page on gov.uk, you'll see there's over 150 software suppliers who have already told us that they're interested in providing making tax digital software for that. And I'm aware that there are more approaching us each week. Also on this page is a short list of suppliers who have shown us a prototype of their product and also successfully tested it out in our test environment. So that's it for me then. Thank you again for dialing in and listening. Hopefully I've made things a little bit more clearer, but I do realise that I've provided a lot of information in a short period of time. So I'm going to hang around to the end of the session and hopefully answer some of your queries if you want me to.
Thank you very much, Verna. That was very, very interesting, and I'm sure cleared a lot of confusion or many questions that a lot of our attendees may have had. We are going to be doing a Q&A towards the end of this session, so I will be throwing out the changing the format of this webinar session, so you will be able to ask questions at the end there, and all three of us will be available to answer those questions. I'm now going to move on to how software works, and particularly, as you probably already guessed, this is going to be very much focused around ClearBooks and the solutions that we have to help you tackle MTD. Now, ClearBooks, we're very proud to say at ClearBooks, we are MTD compliant. We are MTD ready. We have already submitted over 10 MTD submissions successfully alongside HMRC. We've been working very closely with HMRC for several months, as we have been doing for the last 5, 6, 7, or 8 years. And we've got had a very successful development program that has really helped us deliver an MTD solution to our partners. In terms of actually making that transition over to a solution, then David's going to touch on that in a little bit. But right now, I'm going to show you what solutions ClearBooks has to help you tackle that conundrum, and also what that looks like and how it can work for you. So just to start out, what I'm going to do is talk about the two MTD compatible options that ClearBooks has to offer. Now, ClearBooks has been around for around a decade, and we're experts in the cloud accounting software industry. For many, many years, we've had our ClearBooks Large solution, and ClearBooks Large is a full feature-rich solution that allows unrestricted access for both you and your clients. So that it operates in the same way as many other softwares in the industry work, where both you and your client access the same interface to do various different jobs. So that could be creating invoices, looking at reporting, importing a bank statement through bank feeds and explaining those off, and so on. However, we also recognise that there was a significant gap in the market, and ultimately, you will have lots of your clients who feel comfortable using a piece of cloud software such as ClearBooks Large, may have already made the jump. And what you're left with is a selection of clients who are much more comfortable using something like a spreadsheet, or indeed still use bag and box style receipts. So we brought to the market earlier this year ClearBooks Practice Edition and ClearBooks Micro. ClearBooks Micro is an online spreadsheet. It allows your clients to collaborate with you in a very simple, easy to use manner. It doesn't expect your client to have to learn a feature-rich, more complex accounting solution. It just requires the minimum from them. It then flows through to you as accountants to then use that data and that information that your clients have entered to then create things like your MTD VAT returns, your reporting, and so on and so forth, and really deliver the value add that you get to offer. In terms of the MTD element, ultimately it is as easy as 1, 2, 3, as the name of this webinar suggests. With the idea where your clients can just simply enter that data row by row, column by column, into a spreadsheet that they feel very comfortable with. That information flows live through to you. No corrupt spreadsheets, no incorrect formatting, no dodgy formula deletions. It just flows through automatically, and you get to create your MTD VAT return within ClearBooks and submit that directly to HMRC. So let's have a quick look and see what ClearBooks Micro looks like. So this is ClearBooks Micro. ClearBooks Micro features columns, features rows. As you can see, it looks very similar to an online spreadsheet. It also has features such as filtering and sorting. So within here, you can select, I don't know, particular dates or even a date range, just like you would using the filter options that you might see in Excel or Google Sheets. You'll see as we've got here, we've got a simple rows for date, the invoice number, and the amount and the VAT rate. So going back to what Werner was mentioning a few minutes ago, it's recording all of the key information that your clients are going to have to record from a bookkeeping perspective when it comes to making tax digital. You'll see here that I've already got some items in here, and I'm running a very successful furniture business. And I've literally just sold a bookshelf to a client. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in the invoice number that I've created for this client. And then I'm going to say this is £80. And I'm going to say that this is a bookshelf. You'll see it's automatically calculated the amount excluding VAT. However, that's all based on the VAT rate. But I can adjust this VAT rate if I need to. If I need to change it from 20% down to exempt or 5%, whatever it may be, I can record that in there, and then the VAT is automatically calculated. You'll notice that this is recording invoices, and that's because obviously lots of your clients will create and use invoices. I am going to come back to ClearBooks Micro right at the end of this demonstration and show you how you could use ClearBooks Micro as a simple cash in, cash out business, perhaps a retail establishment. So do bear with me on that one. So right now I've created my invoice. I've created the record of my invoice here, £80 for bookshelf, and it's been marked as unpaid. If I was to then go into the bank tab, I can then say, perhaps my client's already paid me for this. I can just say, this is I've received £80 money in, and then I can say this was for the bookshelf. I can also select whether this is a payment for invoice, which it is, and it's going into my bank. Now you can have an unlimited number of different bank accounts set up here. So if your clients are operating with multiple bank accounts, multiple different accounts that they're running, you can add those in here for them, and they can add them in themselves indeed. And finally, I'm going to select allocate to existing invoice. And what that's going to do is it's going to show me a really simple screen of all my unpaid invoices. I go into here as a client and I go, boop, and now I've marked my bookshelf as paid, as you can see here. Okay, so that is simply recording an invoice and marking it as paid. That information, again, is flowing direct through to you live. There's no syncing, uploading, downloading. I'll show you how that flows through in a few moments. Let's also just say that I also have expenditure as my business. So I've got bills that I get from my utilities, from my suppliers, and so on and so forth. And I'm going to just record another one of those in here for my Vodafone bill. So my Vodafone bill came in and it's £36. And you can see here, I can just type in Vodafone. But the main difference in this one is I have my expense type. And this is a custom set of account codes that you as your client's trusted advisor and accountant set up for them. So if you've been using a certain set of account codes for many, many years, as I'm sure lots of you have, then you can just port those over with great ease. So in this particular case, I'm going to select the account code of a telephone. And when I go back into my bank, I could mark that as paid just by putting in money out, £36, say what it's for. But in this case, I'm going to mark it as a payment for a bill. Again, if I needed to change that to a different bank account, then I definitely can in here. And then when I just select that £36, I click save, and that's been saved. There are other expenses and other money that will come into a business that perhaps isn't done as, on an invoice. And in that case, you can just simply record that as money in and money out and explain those transactions. So for example, let's say I also popped out office and needs to pick up some stationery. If you ever look around our office, it's full of post-it notes, and that might be an example of one such stationery. I've got some stationery here, and I can say that actually, rather than this being a payment for a bill or an invoice, I can just say this is money out. And when I select other money out, and when I click explain, I've got the option to explain the account code that is relevant for this particular expenditure. I can then say it's for £12. Now, when we come back to this later on, I'm going to show you how you can split those lines up. So if you've got multiple things on a receipt or on your expenditure, then you can break that down into multiple different lines. I quickly click save, and then on my money out, it just says £12 there, and that's all been explained. So as you can see, this is a really simple, easy to use interface for your clients to use. It's not overly arduous on them. It's just simply recording the information that they're doing. It's assuming that the invoices are being created externally in another system. Perhaps they've got old carbon copy paper, or perhaps they've got their own Word document or template for invoices, and they can just carry on using those. When I come through into here, this is ClearBooks Practice Edition. So your clients would use the spreadsheet, and you would use your partner Practice Edition of ClearBooks. So what I can do is I'm going to jump straight into Chris Morford Micro, which is the same template that I've just been working with that spreadsheet. And when I come through into here, I'm going to jump straight to a TB. And when I go into that trial balance, you can see this has automatically all been sorted out for me. So based on what my client has been entering, this is updating live. In fact, you can see just there the £10 for the stationery, and that's obviously the ex-VAT figure just there on the TB. And that flows through, and you can, so that allows you, it's a really good opportunity for you to jump into different transactions, different codes, see what's included in there from your client, perhaps adjust any incorrectly coded transactions, and so on and so forth. The key thing that you're all tuned in today for, though, is to very much learn about the VAT return process. Clearbooks has been doing VAT returns for 7 or 8 years and have been submitting them directly to HMRC for a long period. This isn't preparing a VAT return is something that we're very, very experienced at, and it's a piece of our element of our solution that's very well rehearsed. The difference is we're now pointing them in a slightly different direction to HMRC, and we're sending that to a different way. Clearbooks works both with the current transaction engine, but also with the new MTD engine as well. So we will work for both on there. I'm just going to prepare a quick VAT return here. So I'm going to say a bit of an odd VAT return period, but 25th of July through to October the 25th. And if I just search for those invoices, that will return all of the transactions that have been that are included for that particular VAT period. And actually, you'll see in here that the majority of those have actually come through from that Clearbooks Micro. So what it's done is it's prepared my NIMESs, it's sorted everything out for me, it's used the data that my client has entered. Then if I've made any adjustments, that's been taken into consideration as an accountant, and then that is all fed through into these 9 boxes. If I want to look into some of these elements, then I can just simply click and drill down into the transaction, and it will show me what that transaction looks like, so I can make any adjustments if I need to. Once I'm happy with this, I can click Create VAT Return. When I create that VAT return, what that's going to do, when I confirm it, what that's actually going to do is lock all of those lines in Micro. So unlike in a spreadsheet where those transactions, after they've been submitted to HMRC, could be edited by your clients, with Clearbooks Micro, those transactions are logged. Your client can see them, your client can have full visibility of them, but your client can't then change the values of those unless you cancel that or delete that return, and then it will unlock them. And when I hit confirm that return, that locks all those transactions, and then I can submit this to HMRC. I could submit this to HMRC. The submission process to HMRC for MTD is simply as the click of a button. There's a few steps that you need to do at the very beginning of the first submission that you do for MTD around the setting up of your agent's gateway and so on and so forth. And we have videos and guides to help explain the best way to do that, which we're more than happy to share with you if you'd like to see more information on those. But it's as entering your agent login details and then submitting this on your client's behalf. And it will be, and then you get a little receipt from HMRC with the transaction reference on there. Okay, so that was in the process of submitting a VAT return. Obviously with your clients entering all this information, there's lots of that additional value you can get from within Clearbooks, and there's a whole host of features that are available within Clearbooks Practice Edition. Now, Clearbooks Practice Edition is the full Clearbooks suite, but accessible only to you as you're in your practice. Your client can use the micro spreadsheet, but only you can use this feature-rich accounting interface. That gives you a real opportunity to actually deliver some real value-add elements to your service. For example, your clients will know regular reports on how their business is doing. So if I was to just give you, within a couple of clicks, I can create a 6-page management report, which I could very happily give to my client. This gives you a nice table of contents, a full executive summary, a profit and loss, and then also we've got also cash flow. So there's a whole load of information in there that's essentially automatically been generated into this report. It looks like you've spent hours preparing it, but in fact, it's been a couple of clicks to get that ready to give to a client. Okay, so the final thing I'm going to do is I promised you earlier that we would look back at Clearbooks Micro to consider those really simple kind of cash retail style businesses. And so I've got an example here of a Clearbooks Micro account, which actually is intended as a cash in, cash out style business. It literally does not get simpler than this in terms of a cloud-based MTD ready solution. So what we've got here is simply one tab. It just says bank. We haven't got the invoices, we haven't got the bills anymore. But what I can do in here is you'll see I've got a record here for the 4th of October takings, and it's recorded as just other money in. All I have now is other money in and other money, it's money in and money out. If I click explain on here, what I'm going to do is take, for example, maybe I'm not running a furniture business now, but perhaps I'm running a business that sells kind of children's toys, but also safety equipment and so on and so forth. So, for example, if I'm selling a children's toy, then it'll be at 20% VAT rate. But if I'm selling a car seat, then that is exempt from VAT or has a 5% VAT rate. So what I can do is I can then, as I'm recording my daily takings, I can say I've got £300 that's recorded at 20%, but then I've also got £50 recorded at the 5% rate. And I click save. And that will be recorded and passed through to ClearBooks Practice Edition for you to then see that as part of those daily takings, X amount has been at X rate and Y amount has been at a different rate, and then your VAT return will correspond with that. The great thing is about ClearBooks Practice Edition and ClearBooks Micro is the solutions are really competitively priced. So allowing you to get up and running with a client for just £5 per client per month. So that £5 per client per month gives you an MTD solution. It gives you the full ClearBooks suite for you to use internally, and it also includes access to this online ClearBooks spreadsheet. So hopefully that gives you plenty of food for thought. I know that me and my team will be delighted to talk to you further about it and maybe give you a bit more of an in-depth tour of ClearBooks solutions for MTD. So if you do have any questions or queries, please don't hesitate to give us a call. The contact details will be available at the end of this webinar. Okay, so I'm now going to hand over to David to explain a little bit more about what steps to take to help you get ready for MTD. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chris. That was a great overview of the way to solve MTD problems for clients. And so now let's take a chance to look at how, as a practice, you can get set up to make sure you've got MTD set for all of your clients. So I'm David Carr. I'm the CFO and Head of Product at ClearBooks. I'm a chartered accountant, and my background is in practice, but I have worked in industry as well. I also have worked in IT advisory. So what I've done in my time in IT advisory is helped businesses to understand what are their needs with software and how do they implement the software successfully. So I've really seen it on both sides, how to make a software selection and implementation successful, as well as some of the pitfalls that can lead to stumbling blocks. So we're going to cover 4 different steps to choosing the right software and implementing it for your clients. So the 4 steps are to analyze the software, the needs that you have for software, investigate in the market, what are the options, which options you're looking at, and to then migrate and implement that software. So look through the analyzing step, the first step. We're going to be looking at things like, what is it that you need? What are the needs of your practice? What are the needs of your clients? How do you work and how do your clients work? Are there ways that technology can help you change your business process and optimize the way that you're working with your clients to better work for both of you? So we'll look at some details in the first step around analyzing what it is that you actually need. And the second step is to investigate in the market, what are the different options available to you? What different types of software are there? Who's providing this software? And how are they going to help support you through your process running the software and getting it up and running inside your practice? When we look at the choose step in selecting software, we're going to understand how to assess these providers against the needs that you have. So really matching off what you need against what is available for you. That will let you focus in on the one provider who is going to be the one that you move forward with. And then the last step, migration, is understanding how do you actually engage with your clients through this change? How do you roll out the software for your firm, for your staff, and for your clients? And what other steps have you got to put in place, specifically around making tax digital, to ensure that you've got all of the necessary approvals and acceptances in place to make the software successful? Let's dive into the detail in the first step around analyzing your clients. What you really want to do is to understand what are the needs for your clients. Across your client base for Making Tax Digital for VAT, there's two key groups. We've got the clients who are under 85,000 turnover and those over 85,000 turnover. So in order to minimize the amount of work you need to do now, let's focus only on those who will be managed from April next year, which is the red box in the flowchart on the right for customers who are over the £85,000 threshold. You may want to address those who are voluntarily in VAT a little bit later, but that's certainly not mandatory for now. So for those customers, for those of your clients who are over that threshold, there might be two different ways that you will work with them. One is where they assist you with the data entry, or one is where they don't. If your clients are not helping you with the data entry, they're perhaps sending you a shoebox of receipts, or you maybe have access to the bank statements and you do all the coding yourself, you're going to need an internal solution. If your clients are helping you with the data entry and you're collaborating, there might be two different ways that your clients are working with you. Those who are tech savvy and those who are tech resistant. Tech-savvy clients are going to need a feature-rich solution in order to be able to manage their business and do all the functions that they need. As a tech-resistant client, they're going to want something simple that's nice and easy for them to enter their data or a way that works for them and for you. Over time, there's a chance to encourage clients who aren't taking an active role in data entry to help you with that. But in the meantime, you probably will want to assess your customer base in terms of their existing processes to minimize the disruption to them. So after analyzing the needs that you have for your clients and for yourself, you need to look at the market and understand and to investigate what are the different options to you. There's three different criteria to consider. There's the product, the provider, and the support. So when you're assessing the product, you need to be thinking about how is this going to work for me and my business? How is it going to work for my clients and their businesses? For the clients that you are working, you might have all the clients needing feature-rich solutions, or all of them who are suitable for an internal solution, or you might have clients in all three of those groups. So you need to think about how does the software work for feature-rich needs, for simple solution needs, and for internal solution needs. Does it work with their business processes and the way that you run your practice? Other questions to ask when assessing the product are the VAT schemes that you need supported. So for example, you may have clients on cash and accrual accounting. You may have clients on flat rate scheme. You may have clients who are making payment on account for their VAT. So delving into that next level of detail around how the software is going to work for your clients is a really important question to make sure that when you roll it out, you are actually providing them what they need. Another really important question is the solution cloud-based? Making Tax Digital is about moving the UK economy towards a digital tax environment, and cloud is something that you would probably expect as a necessity for where we see the market going. So to assess the provider, once you've investigated the different products that are available and you've understood how they suit with the needs of your clients, you want to assess the provider themselves. It might be a great product, but if the provider isn't up to scratch, it's not really going to last. So the questions to ask when trying to assess providers is, where are they based? Where is their head office based? And are you going to be able to get in touch with them? Thinking about what is their focus. Is this a Making Tax Digital solution that is the focus, or is this a international solution which is shoehorned into the UK market? You want to be looking at the provider and thinking, how long have they been in business? Do they know what they're doing, and have they experienced some of the pitfalls in the past of how to roll out software and comply with the UK tax requirements? You want to be looking at HMRC's compatible software list to ensure that they have the recognition from HMRC as being MTD compatible. You want to look at the provider's pricing model to understand how does it work for you and for your practice and the way that you work with your clients. Is the pricing aligned with the pricing model that you have for your clients, and what are the different options there? The third key factor around investigating the options in the market is the support that you're going to get for the product from the provider. What sort of support channels are available? Are you able to access support through phone and email? What sort of training and support materials are available? And what hours does support operate? And this is going to be a time change for you and your clients to comply with Making Text Digital. And so you want to make sure that the provider, the product, and the support that they can give you through that change and ongoing are going to be up to scratch for what you need. So step 2 around investigating is to understand for the providers in the market, the products, what are the ways that they can deliver to your needs. So that brings us on to the third step of the process, which is around choosing. So it's around understanding of the needs that you have and the providers who can meet those needs. Which ones are a match? Which ones are the ones that are going to fit your needs? And so there's a really good way to think about the landscape is in terms of utility versus cost. So on the left-hand side, we've got a chart here that shows utility on the x-axis, or low utility on the right-hand side, through to richer usefulness and functionality on the right-hand side. And on the y-axis, we have a cost. So we've got 4 different quadrants here. If you have low utility and low cost, you're really just buying junk, so you want to avoid that quadrant. If you're paying a lot for a low utility product, it's really a rip-off, so you really want to stay out of that box as well. If you're having high utility and low cost, of course that's really what everyone's looking for, but the reality is that stuff doesn't exist. Something has high utility, you're not going to be able to get it for a dime. And so the quality box highlighted in blue is really where you want to be looking. You want to be looking for high utility with the right cost. And that's where I've highlighted the sweet spot there. So this is a really useful framework to think about the different options you're looking at. You want to be thinking about the price. So you need to look at a budget in terms of how much you can afford to build into your cost base in the MTD software that you need. You might want to think about how does that fit into your pricing model. Can you pass on that cost to your clients directly because, for example, they get benefits out of it? Can you share the cost with them? Or is it something that, as a way of doing business, you want to absorb the cost and your pricing model incorporates all of your costs in a different model? So you want to have a think about how to optimize that. When thinking about function, you want to be looking at not only is the software MTD compatible and will it be able to complete your VAT returns, but is it covering all of the different needs that you have for your clients' VAT schemes and their accounting methods? And likewise with fit, you want to understand the support that you have. Is this going to work with your practice and the way your clients work? So a good way to do that actually to trial software, put it in place and see if you can actually submit an MTD VAT return for your client with that software. There's really no better way to figure out fit than to get the rubber on the road and see how it works. But you need to make sure that you're comfortable with how it's going to work with your practice and with your clients. The other thing to keep in mind, this is our tool of your clients. The needs of your clients and the way they're segmented might mean that different pieces of software are going to be better suited for different groups of those clients. So after you've analyzed and assessed the needs of the clients, investigated the different options around in the market that can meet that need, you might find that in the choose process, you've got different products for different groups of your clients. So at this point, we know what as a practice you're needing to deliver, which are the options, and you've actually assessed them and you've chosen one as your preferred option. What's the next step? It's to migrate your clients onto the solution and actually implement it and roll it out. So this is really where the rubber hits the road. You want to get set up and get all of your clients onto Making Text Digital with the software. So how do you do that? What you want to do is you want to communicate the change if there is an impact on your clients. So if you're using a feature-rich tool and your clients are going to be moving to that software, you want to communicate that with them. If there's a simple tool, you want to show them how it matches to their existing business processes so that the change is minimized. And if it's an internal tool, perhaps you don't need to communicate the change, but you might want to let your clients know that you are ready for MTD and you've got the tools in place for them and that they don't actually need to do anything because you've got the change under control. The next step would be to set up the software for each of your clients. What you'll want to do is you want to assess your client base and phase the rollout over time. You'll need to bring your clients onto Making Tax Digital and onto the new software, and you will want to plan that out so that you know that when you get to the mandation date for your clients, that you've got everything ticked off and you don't have any stragglers left over that are at risk of not being compliant. Associated with that is step 3 around setting up your HMRC accounts for MTD. You want to get your HMRC account set up as soon as you can. There's no prizes for coming in late with HMRC. It's quite the opposite. So you want to make sure that you've got your agent services account in order as soon as you can. You can do that today, in fact. You want to make sure you have the agency set up for all of your clients. We've been working with a lot of accountants and bookkeepers and their clients through the MTD pilot. And what we've found is not all accountants have got the agency set up for all of their clients in the way that we'd all hope that we would. So now's a good time to identify that. If your practice has got everything all in order, then you're ahead of the curve. And if you've got a few stragglers, it's worthwhile picking up on them sooner than later. So what you can do is use the time now in the pilot, in the MTD public pilot, to get ahead and to learn how it's going to work. You can, all clients who are mandated for Making Tax Digital, you can actually put them on Making Tax Digital now. And what that's going to do for you is reduce the amount of work you need to do come mandation, and you're going to have a chance to test out how it works for you, for your clients, and for your practice before you're up against the wall with the mandation dates. So that's available for you now. The other key thing to keep in mind is to sign up your clients to Making Tax Digital at the beginning of their VAT period. You really want to make sure that you're ahead of the game. So I've covered the steps on what steps to take for bringing your clients, especially those who are on paper-based or Excel, into Making Tax Digital. I've covered analysing the needs of you and your clients, investigating the different options in the market, and then assessing which one is the right one for you, as well as how to migrate your clients onto the software. I'll pass back to Chris now. We can move to the question and answers. We'll just open up the lines in the web chat for questions and answers here.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's now your opportunity to ask away to two experts and me on MTD and around what ClearBooks can do to help you with that process, and indeed just the actual migration and choosing process that you might go through. So I've just opened up the Q&A, so you should now have an option to raise your hand if you have a question. Equally, you should be able to contribute via the chat if you want to contribute any questions that you have if you're a little bit more nervous about speaking. Okay, we do have a question. I'm going to try and hand over the voice to Tina. Tina, if you just accept that that request, and we will hear your question.
Hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, brilliant. Okay. You mentioned that in terms of the pricing for the ClearBooks solution, it's from £5 per client per month. Is there any... Sorry, can you hear me still?
I lost you there. Is there any...
Oh, is there any discount if, say, for example, I decide I wanted to put 10 clients onto the ClearBooks micro solution?
Indeed. Absolutely. So we do have scaling discounts available. So we can help support you with those discounts. And also, it's also worth pointing out as well that at ClearBooks we also recognise that it's not an overnight job. As David was talking about a second ago, actually this process might take a few months for you to get all client migrated onto a solution.
Absolutely, yes.
So what we will do to help support you with that is we will put together a plan with you to say that, look, actually, you know what, I'm probably going to put on 2 or 3 or 5 a month, and we'll plan that out. And what we'll do is we will work out the price based on the end number of clients that you'll have on the solution. So you will get the discounted rate all the way from the beginning of that plan. So we'll support you both with the discount and also a bit of an onboarding.
Right, thank you.
No worries, and give us a shout if you'd like to know a little bit more about that.
Okay, thank you.
No worries. I'm going to take that voice back, Tina, and I've also got another question from Trevor. So Trevor, I'm going to give you the mic if you wouldn't mind accepting. Hello, Trevor. Hello. We can't hear you at the moment, Trevor. I wonder if you might be able to maybe type in the chat box. Hi, yes, so Stephen's just going to, Trevor's going to actually just write his question to us, and we'll read that out and answer it for you. Maria, yes, you can ask something. If you'd like to do that over the microphone, then please. It sounds like you're at school. I'm very sorry, but please raise your hand, and we'll give you the mic. Alternatively, feel free to write in any questions you might have into the chat. Okay, question for Werner from HMRC. Trevor asks, when will MTD go live for under £85,000 clients?
Yeah, I can see that. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, we can.
Okay, hi Trevor. As far as I know at the moment, there are no plans to mandate it for those under 85,000. However, to repeat what I did say in my presentation, if they want to join, if people under 85,000 who are VAT registered want to join, there is nothing to stop them joining. But at the moment, there's no plans for mandation for them that I'm aware of. Jennifer Adams, I can see your comment.
Thank you, Vernon. Okay, and also Maria asks how this micro works for CIS contractors. It's probably worth us having a little bit of a chat offline about this. So there are various things that you can do in terms of recording images in micro. Micro is designed for those really very simple businesses. However, ClearBooks has a broad suite of solutions, some of which have real industry-leading CIS functionality. So it'd be best to kind of talk about that offline. But if any of you do have clients that do suffer CIS, do come and talk to us, because it's an area that we particularly cite in. Okay. So if anyone else has more questions, please do ask. Okay, we've got a request coming in from Mike. I'm going to hand over the voice to you, Mike. Hopefully you'll be able to accept that. Just while we're waiting on Mike there, just to let you know, everyone, that we are recording this session. So we will be distributing this around to everyone that registered for this webinar afterwards. So if there's some bits you want to go back over, refresh on, take additional notes, then you'd be more than welcome to watch that when it's back on. We're just waiting on Mike to join. I don't know if you're having some problems, Mike. It appears you're typing. So what I'm going to do is maybe you could type out your question and we'll go from there on that one, Mike. In the meantime, David, is micro compatible with both cash and accrual accounting? I think both David and I could confirm that, and the answer is yes. So there's full support for that. Obviously, you saw the two different ways in which micro can work with invoices being generated for both bills and sales invoices, but also that version at the end there where I showed you just simple money in, money out transactions. And Jennifer, is there any way of inputting Excel CSV into micro? So Excel CSV can be imported into the practice edition. So that's the feature-rich version that you would use. So you could import a CSV of a bank statement or of transactions, and those transactions will then be visible in a Micro, but there's no direct upload from a CSV into Micro for your client. So it would go via you, but yes, it is possible. Mike's got a question for Werner. Werner, are you okay to chip in and help out on that question?
Yeah, okay. I can't see all the questions. Is it going to be if the VAT threshold is reduced in the budget? Will it affect timescales?
Yeah.
I'm not aware that it will affect, that there will be any effect to timescales, and certainly HMRC's position is that we will be mandating it for VAT from April 2019, and that's the position that we stand firm on, and you have done going forward, really. Oh gosh, take that photograph down.
Okay, so if there's any more questions, we're probably gonna have to wrap it up now with it getting to 1 o'clock. I'm sure you're all, if you haven't been munching on a sandwich so far, I'm sure you'll want to go up and grab one. We're going to call it a day here, but if you've got any more questions, feel free to email in. We'll be following up with a little email to you directly from ClearBooks anyway, but all of our contact details are indeed on the screen right now. So if you'd like to ask any more questions there, then feel free, and we will do those on a one-to-one basis. Okay, so thank you very much for tuning in. We really appreciate you taking the time. We hope you found it an interesting session, and we look forward to speaking with many of you in the future. Thank you very much for joining.
Okay.